Hey, Dad. All right. So this is an attempt at an official interview, but it's with my dad, and so it's not going to come out all official at all or anything. It's going to end up with strange stuff in it because this is my dad. We are talking to my dad because he's the one who got me interested in the LCJP program, and the reason I'm here in Colorado, or Longmont, today, and what we're going to ask him about right now as we sit in the park with the, what is this place behind us? The Senior Center, right?
Senior Center, yeah.
A very nice place inside. So tell me, Dad, how did you get involved with the Longmont Community Justice Partnership?
Well, I had somewhat of a writing history with Mike Butler. Mike Butler was one of the two original initiators of the program. He was at this time chief of police, and he contacted me and he said, meet me for breakfast. And I didn't know what for.
When was this?
This was about three and a half years ago.
Okay.
And so we had breakfast, and he said, I need to involve you in some community activities. And at that time, I didn't know what he was talking about. He tried to develop another group like LCJP, but I attended a few meetings but got lost interest. Anyway, that day he appealed to my vanity. He said, "You're a leader in the community." And I said, I just write. I sit in my little office and I write opinions. Over the last 10 years, probably about 80 opinions. And I have a readership, so people read them. And so I complained that, and Mike and I both write to the paper. He's the only chief of police I have ever heard of who writes opinions when he wants the public to know something or understand something. He writes to the paper.
And the fact that he can write.
The fact that he can write. And he's a good writer.
Yes.
At one point, the community was having a lot of trouble with domestic abuse. Mike has a unit in his police force just dealing with domestic abuse, and they've won awards. They have a website, and so the newspaper called for men to speak out against domestic abuse. Two people did, me and Mike. And so we were sort of connected that way. We never had met him. And so at breakfast, I'm talking to him, and I say, you know what really bothers me is I have this message. I have this message that I want to get to students at school about how important writing is. And every year, around September when it starts, the school year starts, I put in an opinion in the paper. I said, I'd be glad to come talk to your kids. I don't charge anything.
Right.
I don't try to sell my books. I don't read from them because the kids tell me that's the most boring thing in the world. And I mean, just think about it, having somebody read to you. And anyway, so Mike...
Depends on what they're reading.
So I said to Mike, I said, I need to get into schools. I'm desperate to get my message out. And he says, well, I have the same trouble with my program.
This is the chief of police saying he's got the same problem getting his message into schools as you do, column writer for the, or opinion writer for the Longmont Times.
Yeah, but I didn't know what program he was talking about.
Right.
And so I just thought, wow, you say, here, I'm the chief, here's my badge, let me in. Yeah, but no.
It's sort of kind of what I thought.
Yeah. So he gives me a business card for the executive director of Longmont Community Justice Partnership.
All right.
And so I call this woman, and she's so busy she never returned the call. But this guy Ken answers the phone. And Ken at that time did all the training. He now is a private consultant doing that training because it's now a very popular thing, especially in Colorado.
So let me just want to back up and explain what's going on. So Ken, if I remember correctly, used to be what Jessica is now, the volunteer coordinator for LCJP.
And the trainer.
And the trainer. Yeah. The volunteer coordinator is the trainer. It's a very important role. I believe they're the same person because Jessica's going to be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
What's happened here is that I'm just realizing this, that we're getting I'm going to have to fix the exposure on this terribly. It's interesting. So what happens when you record off your phone? It's a good phone, though. So what happened is the LCJP program that has become Colorado law is now being looked at by a whole bunch of other places because we recognize that our communities have issues. We've got law enforcement, community, big problems. So Ken has left the Longmont Community Justice Partnership and is now consulting on his own to help other communities grow in this way and create community justice partnerships. I mean, this is a movement that is much bigger than Longmont. It's much bigger than the state of Colorado. It's actually worldwide. And what we're talking about here is just the beginnings of it in one small town that I think is going to explode across the United States. The reason I'm doing this show right now is because I don't understand why the federal government isn't working this program right now. And so hopefully this message will reach some of those people. Anyway, just wanted to provide backstory.
All right.
So
anyway, I follow up because, it's like the police chief said, this is something to do. And I thought, okay.
Yes.
And I said, I need to give back to the community somehow. And I don't know how to do that other than my talks to students.
Right.
So when he told me he was having the same trouble, of course, I go home and I immediately emailed the superintendent of schools, who's a friend of mine. And I said, I'd like to get in your schools. And Mike Butler says he can't get in there either. So, as a manipulator, within a week, Don Haddad, the superintendent of schools, says, how about addressing all the high school principals at our next meeting? Wow. So I go talk to them. I said, here's what I talk about. I give them a handout, and then within a week I had a couple of gigs, as you say. I spoke to some middle school teachers, their classes. But again, it dribbles out.
Right.
So